Okay. Here's what you missed. Magic flower and evil lady. Queen is sick. They find the magic flower, make a soup. Queen isn't sick. Baby born, magic baby. Evil lady steals magic baby. Magic baby is now magic adult. Pretty boy steals crown. Magic girl wants to see pretty lanterns, but she's permanently grounded forever. Pretty boy betrays his co-workers. Pretty boy hides in tower. Frying pan. Magic girl makes a deal with pretty boy to go see lanterns. Magic girl has existential crisis. Evil lady finds out magic girl is gone. More frying pan.
I have got to get me one of these.
Frying pan friends are probably gonna drown. Pretty boy finds out magic girl is magic. They don't drown. Evil lady and old co-workers team up. Frying pan friends have bonding time. Evil lady finds magic girl and tells her to test her man with a crown. Also, there's a horse now. They make it to the city. Magic girl gets to see the lanterns. Pretty boy tries to give the crown back to co-workers. Turns are tabled. Pretty boy is betrayed. Did pretty boy run off with crown and abandon magic girl? Now co-workers have magic girl. Evil lady saves magic girl. Guard, catch pretty boy. Magic girl has big eureka.
I am the lost princess.
Pretty boy breaks out, finds magic girl, gets stabby stabbed. Magic girl asks to heal pretty boy. Pretty boy cut hair. Evil lady dead now. Pretty boy die. Girl cry. Magic cry. Cry make death all better. Magic girl meets parents. Happy ending. What you need to understand is that Disney made Tangled into like a whole franchise. It didn't just end with the movie back in 2010, because a few years after they made an animated short called Tangled Ever After, and Tangled Before Ever After, and Tangled the Animated Series, which also had a name change halfway through. So if you see Tangled the series and Tangled Rapunzel's something adventure, it's the same show. It's just that not a lot of people knew about any of this stuff happening because Disney was focused on drowning all of us in Frozen during 2013. But this animated series had 3 freaking seasons. So clearly it was lucrative enough for them to just keep it going. It's just kind of weird now that I think about it, why they didn't just completely abandon it to make Frozen the animated series, which, I don't know, I guess movies are make more money. Frozen 2 probably made a lot more money than a TV show, whatever. But Tangled being my favorite Disney movie, I'm very happy they opted for focusing on Tangled rather than Frozen, which was just okay. You know what, I take that back. It was a little better than okay. People like to crap on it because it's annoying how much they marketed it. I get that, understandable. It's not that bad. Frozen 2 was bland. Frozen 2 was less than okay. Frozen 1 was more than okay. It was never great. I think Tangled reached the point for great for me. Frozen is good, but it's not Tangled, fight me. Ever After is a comedic short centered around Rapunzel and Eugene getting married. Maximus loses the ring, so him and Pascal have to get them back, destroying the entire after party in the process, so only to ultimately get it back just in time to recover it in a bad dress and tar. It lasts like 6 to 10 minutes, whatever. However, Tangled Before Ever After is an animated movie, that of which is considered the first episode of Tangled the series, and the entire series takes place before they were married. Funny enough, I knew about all this happening this entire time, and maybe I'm a fake fan, because I have not seen any of this until right now for this video, because I've been so busy with work, and also I preferred to have watched My Little Pony, so, you know, and taking care of my granny in the most recent years, so that was a whole thing in itself, oh my gosh. I finally get to watch this show now that I have time. The Tangled series uses a papercraft sort of style, which is a surprising deviation from the movie, but I honestly didn't think it would all be animated in 3D. And upon seeing screenshots, it looks off-putting, but seeing it animated, it really works. And it really helps that they have the original voice actors. Rapunzel now has a handmaid that is helping her learn how to be a proper princess, and she becomes really important later on.
Now, as princess, you are not only representing yourself and the family, but all of Corona.
Oof. Oh man, I forgot that's what their kingdom is called. That's not, that's a shame. Eugene is planning to propose, so it's definitely before they got married. They probably realized skipping over the proposal and going straight to the wedding probably wasn't what we wanted, so them wising up and making a whole series centered around before they were married was smart. It's a midquel, not a sequel, not a afterquel, a midquel. Sequel? Prequel, not a... What am I saying? Rapunzel isn't just having a hard time adjusting to royal life, she's having trouble accepting this as her future. She feels out of place. More than that, she doesn't feel like she belongs. Maybe that this just isn't what she wants.
I could get you in and out of here before anyone even knew we were gone.
You mean sneak me out?
What you do when no one's looking is your business.
This is why we like Cassandra. I mean, really, we just had a whole movie where Rapunzel disobeys her mother for the first time in her life. You get a little taste of that freedom, and it's hard to just knuckle under and go back to the way things were. During the royal banquet that they have before the coronation, Eugene decides to pop the question in front of everyone.
I want to ride our horses out to the Corona Wall together each and every morning until we're both very, very old. And I want to spend the rest of our lives here together.
Here? In this castle?
And so Rapunzel starts panicking and realizes she's not ready to get married, not until she figures out what's going on in her head. So Eugene, dang. Cassandra and Rapunzel sneak out. It's hard not to love Eugene. He's just so dang sweet and open and honest and willing to be vulnerable, and he also finds out Rapunzel snuck out. What really stands out about this series is that the movie feels like a comedic retelling of a fairy tale, because it is. But the show feels like a fantasy story that has some inklings of rebellion, like a young adult novel, and with a setting where it's a teenager that is rebelling against their parents while being in a royal setting. It reads like a book rather than a show. Cassandra shows Rapunzel these weird indestructible spikes that showed up a year ago, and they appeared where they found the miracle flower. And weird magic stuff starts happening because Rapunzel is the flower, my guy. The long blonde hair was just too marketable. Let's bring it back. And also those spikes are coming after them for some reason. Okay, I would say that them backpedaling on the whole epic sacrifice of Eugene cutting her hair and Gothel dying is a bit upsetting, just a smidge. However, this clearly feels like they're setting up something a lot bigger. They have a cool magic system that they got going on, and I'm actually getting excited. I had no idea this movie was the first in like the whole animated series, and I'm glad I looked it up because I went straight for just the series episode 1, not realizing that this movie explains all this stuff, which is probably where a lot of people started and got upset because they didn't understand that this animated movie was actually episode 1. So a lot of people probably jumped in and was upset because like, why did they just change her hair back? That's dumb, that's stupid, what's going on? Also, we know that her hair has to turn back to brunette eventually, because it's a midquel. Like, we saw her getting married with her hair still brown. So this has to change back somehow. Just like those spikes, her hair is now indestructible. So they're definitely gonna get caught. The coronation is soon. You're just gonna have to tell them, or that. I guess that works.
Of course! I want her to feel safe. I want her to be taken care of, and I want her to be happy
You
here.
seem to have a pretty good handle on the things you want.
Dang, that got nuanced really fast. And really well, I love it. You ever hear of that idea when someone is suffering emotionally? Like, let's say a family member just died, and you wanna comfort them and make them happy again, but they want to be alone, and it's really hard to let them be alone. You wanting to make them feel better is actually selfish, because you want them to stop feeling bad when they need to process their emotions. And this little interaction actually sums up that very nuanced idea very well. Coronation time, let's see if she can figure out how to get through this without messing it all up. Gosh, one of the guests gets lost. Oh, that's Lady Kane, a bad guy that they don't expand upon at all, so don't worry about her. Why is the prison beneath the castle? You just put the most dangerous people within close proximity of the most important people in the whole kingdom. Now that's dumb. That's stupid. I don't get that. Chalk one up for bad writing. I get that it works better for the story, and I'm willing to overlook it because I don't really care all that much, but come on. The coronation gets interrupted, as we knew it would. Lady Kane looks cool. Big hair reveal, and then we proceed with Rapunzel standing up to Lady Kane. The royals start leaving, now we start fighting. Lady Kane ends up not being so cool and loses. Maximus is doing a great job being the captain of the royal guard. Everyone applauds the frying pan friends, and now Rapunzel has to explain the hair thing to her now upset father.
The night you were taken, a part of me died, the best part of me. I am forced to exercise my martial right as king to forbid you from leaving the walls of this kingdom without my consent. This is the last we will speak of mystical rocks or magic of any kind.
Like, I get it. It's hard to blame the dad. Really, I feel for him. But also, like, come on. Classic parent flaw. Being overly controlling is only going to hurt your child. And that's basically the ending of the movie. And now we can start the actual series. This whole video is a lot more work than I thought it'd be. I missed so much all these years. They meet Varian, the alchemist, who will also become a main character, and they go to asking him about, you know, what the heck is going on with Rapunzel's hair.
Probably guessed I am a man of science, specifically
Alchemy, we know.
Isn't that like an oxymoron now? So the magical properties of her hair have changed. When she sings, it doesn't heal anymore.
I've read every single book about you.
Oh, well, you see, that's not actually me. I just took the name from the book.
Now that makes me happy. It feels like the writers actually care about the show, touching on small little details from the movie. I mean, I guess they don't really have a lot of prior material to work with, so it's not as hard as, say, Greg Wiseman having to learn like the entirety of the Magic the Gathering lore in order to write that War the Spark book. But hey, it's nice to see the effort. But honestly, what was the budget for this show? The animation is really impressive. I get it, it's Disney. But even then, most Disney animated series don't have sequences that display this level of animation. Oh, also, apparently Rapunzel's hair is a magic shield. And Varian built water heaters that blew up, so he destroyed the town. That sucks.
For grab. Not only is this the final.
Oh. Noelle Stevenson worked on this show. The same person who did She-Ra. As if I didn't like this show enough already. What I appreciate about this show is that they spend a lot of time having Rapunzel getting to know her parents, primarily her mom, since her dad is her dad.
Masks on.
Take the women and children, don't hurt the money!
Now that's a man with his priorities straight.
Looks like some kind of tournament.
What? Dana Terrace worked on this show too? The creator of Owl House? Okay. And Eugene's co-workers make a reappearance. They're going to not be relevant in the overarching plot. But hey, it's nice to hear Ron Perlman's voice again.
Guess we're gonna need a couple of human shields if we wanna get out of here.
You know what I like about this show? How Eugene and Rapunzel actually say that they love each other.
I can't let you do that. I love you, Eugene, and I will forgive you, but...
Rapunzel, hey, stop. Look, I love you too so much, and thank you, but I can't.
At least with me, saying that you love them is like on a daily basis, and it's a very normal thing. But for some reason, it's not normal in TV shows, especially shows directed towards kids, which honestly, it's weird how that isn't normal. We should be showing kids that people who are together like that actually love each other. Then again, I guess there's like a long streak of people getting married who don't really love each other, and that's like only really changing with recent generations, so I guess it's not all that weird when you think about it. The majority of the first season is really exploring the relationships between all the characters, like Eugene and the king not getting along, but having to work together to infiltrate a castle, or Eugene and Cassandra not getting along, or Rapunzel learning more about the outside world since, you know, she was in isolation for 18 years, which is surprising. I figured there'd be more episodes distributed through the show that progresses that big mysterious spiky stuff from the movie episode. You know, I mean, it's fun and quirky and they have plenty of moments that really highlight their characters and it's enjoyable to watch, but at a certain point you start sitting there thinking, is anything gonna happen?
You know, there are many things I fail to take seriously. You brought my daughter home to me after 18 long years. If there's one man in the whole world I take very seriously, it's you.
Varian comes to Corona and tells them a bunch of black rocks appeared at his village. And for some reason, Rapunzel comes even though last time getting close to those things almost killed her, so that's dumb.
Promise to keep this between you and me, okay?
Tangled, the series, was developed for television by Chris Sonnenberg, who has sort of done a little bit of everything, from writing to animating to storyboarding, even having worked on series like The Hunchback of Notre Dame and Atlantis. And he worked alongside Shane Pigmore, I really hope I'm saying that name right, who is someone that's basically worked on every major animation you can think of. Looking into the people behind this series is surprising, given how many notable and now notable people have worked on this show. And several of you are probably sitting there and wondering, why have I not heard of this show? You see the quality, not only in the show, but also the people behind it. And looking at Sonnenberg's Twitter, sadly, as the only like reputable source as to what happened with the show, he responds to a meme where he sort of kind of just basically confirms that Disney really just didn't promote the show, even though this show has 3 seasons. I don't know why Disney would dump money into something and not market it. I assume if you were watching Disney Channel, you probably knew of it, but a lot of people do not have cable now, and it's all on Disney Plus. It's not like this show is old. You know, now that I think of it, Disney does this a lot, or at least recently they're doing this. Feels like the same thing is happening to Owl House, like it just had the wrong demographic, and now they're like, nah, it's not attracting kids, we don't want it. I swear, if this show is having the same problems as the Owl House, I'm gonna be upset. If Disney keeps making shows that appeal to older audiences, they need to learn to market to them rather than just scrap everything they've worked on. They have too much money. Disney has too much money, is basically what I'm saying. They have something that works, why are they not working with it? I bought an Owl House shirt from Hot Topic just because I like the show and wanted to support it. And that's the only thing I could buy in terms of official merchandise. I don't even know where to get Tangled stuff other than children's toys. Honestly, this Tangled the series is probably a bit more lucrative because they can actually sell toys. I'm not sure how many toys they could sell of Owl House. That I get, okay, but still, my point's being made. They even had a sad and tragic backstory for Pascal, which is just cool, okay. I was never really all that interested in the comedy relief animal story, but hey, they're doing a solid job leaving no stone unturned when it comes to fleshing out the world and its characters. It really feels like the majority of this season is setting up the groundwork for a world that they can then fully explore, or in other words, I'm sure the people who ran the wiki had a lot of work when this show was released. Assuming the show is having the same problem of appealing to an older demographic, I'd argue that reason is because it explores lessons that are more geared towards teenagers and adults rather than kids.
I thought for sure I could fix those girls, you know, like how you fixed me.
You can't make someone better. The best you can do is give them a chance. If they don't want your help, then...
A fun recurring character is one of Eugene's old friends and partners in crime, Strongbow, who still steals stuff, but is sort of trying to be better, but also sort of not. He's great, I like him.
It's all my fault. I lied to Eugene about everything. He was only trying to help a friend, or someone who used to be his friend. I'm truly sorry.
And now, for this. The black rocks are slowly moving toward the castle, or, toward Rapunzel. Varian's father seems to know something about the black rocks, but he refuses to tell, and he seems to be keeping secrets concerning a strange mark, and during one of Varian's experiments, the black rock entraps his father.
The storm's growing stronger by the...
Please, Princess, you promised you'd help me. Princess, my dad needs help.
No, don't hurt him.
Rapunzel, you promised. You promised.
A massive snowstorm starts to make living unbearable. Corona's blacksmith tells them about a legend of a wicked snowstorm and an engineer who created a machine that could redirect the winds, and since the weather was becoming so unstable, Rapunzel had to take the chance and search for this legend. Turns out the massive machine and the legend turned out to be true. And the crazier thing is, the machine still worked. Varian, having been rejected help from Rapunzel to help his father, resolves to save him, regardless of who stands in his way, and a darker side of him shows. And you know this is an important episode because they sang a lot. In every episode so far, except for this one and the first episode, there has been no singing. I get it, it's Tangled, it's Disney, but going that long in between episodes where you sing, it feels weird. It actually felt like they just randomly started singing by the time we got to this episode. All musical logic was kind of just thrown out the window. The standard became not singing, and then you started singing. However, this whole arc, the end of season 1, has the best song in the entire series, so I'll let it slide. Also, apparently this weird ghost gets released from the machine, so that's new. It's like the crew behind the show said, hey, we did your happy, fun, silly episodes, can we do our cool, dark stories now? And Disney said, yeah, fine, okay, I guess. So it turns out that this big warlock that summoned the winter storm has disciples, and that's what that ghost is, and who is now this old woman, and they wanna release Xantiri the warlock.
No one better than you, I betcha.
So here's the thing. In this show, they actually focus on little character arcs, like when they take a potion that changes their personality and Rapunzel has to stop being all rainbows and gumdrops because when you're a queen, you have to make hard choices. They focus a lot on Rapunzel having to learn to make hard choices in order to grow into as a future queen. It slowly becomes a recurring thing, and I love it. Also, Rapunzel just litters that mood change potion into the ocean. I mean, I get it. Varian finds it, but still, feels out of character. Rapunzel is getting creepy, prophetic dreams that are clearly connected, and an easy way to foreshadow something is to give them prophetic dreams. It works every time. Varian sends Rapunzel a letter saying he may have figured out the key to the Black Rocks.
An eye scratchy. Did I mention majestic? Owl.
Oh my goodness, it's Darth Vader! Disney really is ruining Star Wars. They go to Varian's place and find the graph tick. Ignore the name of, they never bring it up again. The name of graph tick, that means, makes no sense to me. And also Varian's dad. And Rapunzel sees what her hard choice has led to. Dr. Doom tries to steal the graph tick, and he's actually good at fighting. Turns out there's a whole league of Dr. Dooms, but it's okay, we have frying pans. Inside the thing is a sliver of a scroll. The Black Rocks destroy Rapunzel's old tower, which honestly, I didn't care, but Rapunzel is crying, so I guess it's important.
We had orders to recover the scroll.
Who orders you?
Your father.
Okay, dang, definitely didn't see that one coming. Apparently the king is trying to keep the Black Rocks under wraps, so Rapunzel looks at the scroll and says she's gonna get on her dad's case about this.
Rapunzel, I am the king, and I have the situation under control.
You know, you are not the first person to lie to me and tell me I am not ready for the real world.
Ooh, you done messed up, kingy boy. Varian makes a return, surprisingly not as angry as I would have expected.
You can help me now, Rapunzel. Its destructive power can only be stopped by its counterpart, the sun drop.
The flower?
Gosh, everyone is suddenly very rude, almost as if everyone had a taste of the mood potion from a few episodes ago. They sneak underground into the hidden vault and they find the Sundrop flower, and Varian takes it, and Rapunzel starts realizing, oh dang, Varian is being impetuous and is actually not trying to help Corona, but is really just using Rapunzel.
I used you!
And Varian ninja smoke screens out of there with the whole flower. I gotta admit, the scrawny runt becoming the villain isn't what I expected, but I do love a villain arc, so I am on board with this. He tries to use it to break the stone, it doesn't work, and then he realizes, oh wait, the flower doesn't have the flower, Rapunzel does. And it's like, yeah, duh, that's not a big twist, my dude.
Until the threat of Varian has been neutralized, you are to remain under constant surveillance in the most secure room in the castle.
Bro, you put her in another tower. Like, seriously, that's not just harsh, that's just insensitive. I really don't like the king. Obviously, they break her out, because of course they would.
And the castle itself will be overcome by this growth. It has already overtaken the outskirts of the kingdom.
You know, someone is really evil when they turn their cute rodent friend into a monster of anger and destruction. Now, that's bad. Varian kidnaps the queen, which, honestly, is what I would have done. Rapunzel may have inherited the power, but she literally drank magic flower tea. She's gotta have some sort of power too, right? Like, come on.
You are merely bait to lure the princess here.
Oh, okay, I guess.
And after you freed your father.
Oh, well, I'm afraid Corona will pay for turning their backs on me.
I was just wondering that, wait, is this runt gonna be the main villain of the series? What are we gonna do with the warlock guy they talked about? Also, apparently, the king knew all this stuff would happen if he removed the flower, and he did anyway. I get it, but like, dang, I guess that makes sense why he's so secretive about this. He blames himself and is trying to fix things. They attempt to get the drop on him, but fail horribly. He literally makes a drill tip out of her hair. I mean, it makes sense. It's indestructible, but like, it's so dumb. Anyway, it doesn't work, so all this evil plotting didn't pay off, and his raccoon betrays him, as he should. Then this dude just says, you know what, fine, I'll just enact my revenge on Rapunzel since this isn't working. Oh gosh, the Black Rocks kill Rapunzel. Oh wait, no they don't. Her hair gains sentience, and then controls the Black Rocks somehow. Okay, this makes as much sense as what's been going on before, and now she can just control this stuff, so that's cool. I think I know how to get Varian's father free now. She can just flat out will it to happen, maybe. And they stop Varian.
I will make you proud of me, Dad.
The mystery of the rocks isn't solved. They reason that the rocks are pointing Rapunzel in a direction toward adventure, an adventure that'll last 2 more seasons. Also, the lady with the same mystery mark can slice through rocks. And that's the end of season 1. A lot of that season wasn't really relevant, but it wasn't really bad either. Lots of episodes that can be played as repeat episodes when there isn't a new one were put into this season. But it was renewed for several more seasons, and hopefully it will focus more on the overarching plot from now on. And again, this show is now slowly moving away from feeling Disney and feels very much like a young adult fantasy novel. And the writing of the characters feels exactly like the movie. The writing is top notch. They balanced the giving answers but leaving more questions pretty well. I'm not sure if that's because they knew they were getting a second season or not. But where it did end, it would be pretty, very, very upsetting if the story didn't finish. What's funny is that the writing behind the show is actually so tight, I'm having trouble cranking out jokes for this video. All the jokes in this series are very self-contained, and it's hard to really work with it for the kind of videos that I make, because usually I'm able to make a funny video if a show is bad in certain ways, or I'm trying not to use the word kitschy. I don't think a lot of people know what that word means. Whatever. Season 1, gold stars all around. Okay, so apparently we're going back 25 years. Some dude is angry at some rock. That looks like Variant's father, and also that one girl is there. Where even is this? They talk about there being 7 kingdoms, so I guess this is one of them.
Anyone who seeks out this opal must be stopped.
Oh, okay, I get it now. That's why that one girl with the kabuki face paint is chasing after them. Oh, dang, I like their new duds. Now they're looking like real adventures. A Tangled-based D&D adventure. I'd love that so much. Someone write that down. Can I just point out, the king and queen had their daughter for maybe like 1 year. She left on this whole new adventure on her birthday. Maybe 2 years tops, if I'm gonna be nice. That's an insanely short time for her parents to get to know their daughter. And it was not that great, given that we just saw the majority of everything they went through. Eugene still has marriage on the mind, and it's still awkward. So this lady, Adira, just strolls on up to them and asks to talk. Cass isn't having any of this, and they rumble. They figure out she has a black rock sword, and she realizes that her hair is magic. Eugene has to deal with some problems with his ex-girlfriend and this Baron, her father. It's a whole thing, gotta admit, someone named Stallion is hot.
You left me at the altar.
Did I do that? Is that how it?
Oh, dang. Okay, well, this is not gonna go into a fun direction if Rapunzel finds out about this. Okay, let's speed through this. The Baron announces that Eugene is going to marry his daughter, and in return, Strongbow doesn't die. Rapunzel finds out that, and she's super torn because OMG, why would Eugene do this? Even though, like, girl, come on, you don't see that he's not happy about this? Like, seriously. This acts as a good push to get Rapunzel to realize she wants to marry Eugene, and Cass knocks some sense into her because she's a good friend, and they work on figuring out how to save them. For some reason, when Rapunzel touches the black rock, nothing happens, so I hope there's a plan B.
They're not reacting because they found the sun drop. That would be you.
Well, how convenient that we have someone with all the answers. Pascal continues to be awesome and saves Lance. Seriously though, Pascal would be a great familiar. He's too smart to just be a chameleon. Anyway, they stop the Baron.
Eugene, will you?
No, that's not necessary.
What?
You're finally free and out in the real world. I understand now that making a lifetime commitment is probably the furthest thing from your mind.
Oh, come on. I get you think you're being understanding, but you guys, can you just be engaged? Like, seriously? You can just be committed and not married yet? God. Apparently, Adira is a friend and gives them more of the scroll and says they need to go to the Dark Kingdom. The Dark Kingdom? Really, guys? I get it's a show for kids, but I mean, you couldn't put 2 more seconds into thinking of the name of the big bad evil place? It doesn't even need to be creative. It just needs to be not terrible. Regardless, you can feel the shift in the tone. Hopefully they'll lean in a lot more into the actual story that they've set up. You can tell it's a children's show when the swords don't actually cut anything.
Fine, I know when I'm not wanted.
Yeah, guys, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't pack the same punch as the Homer Simpson meme. We still have episodes that don't really contribute to the overarching story, but now it's more magical misadventures rather than your typical Disney show episode. I mean, they're literally birds. Season 2 is literally the what if it was a D&D adventure season. Is it just me, or are they more expressive? I get that it's a Disney production, so the animators are going to be top notch, but I don't see this level of facial expression in other Disney animated series. It gives off the feeling that the people behind the show had a lot of passion for what they were creating. Or Disney paid them more. They're told about this neato spire that apparently holds another slice of that scroll. Hopefully the spire continues to be important, because otherwise having all this panache around it seems fruitless.
A guy in a hood?
Is this a joke? Yeah, you really think this cute little net is gonna restrain us?
Thank you! I always hated it when a net was the ultimate inescapable device for every cartoon. It makes as much sense as prison bars wide enough to walk through.
Seraphina's a mermaid?
Yeah, so you're a woman with 70 feet of hair.
Yeah, Rapunzel, get humbled. How does she wash that thing? I don't know how people deal with hair that reaches past their butt. I can't imagine the nightmare of Rapunzel's hair. You know what I can't stand about the show? How they just find random times to tug at your heartstrings, like Rapunzel finding where the lanterns landed and reading an old letter from her dad from when she was missing, and I wasn't prepared for this. Frankly, the lengths to which they stretch Max's physical prowess and capabilities is incredible. Almost as crazy as the Powerpuff Girls grabbing things without fingers. Anyway, Hector, the weird dude with a rhino, found them and is trying to stop them from getting to the Dark Kingdom because the Brotherhood swore not to let anyone get there. So I guess Adira is on their side and it's not just one big hoax. They gotta go across this massive tree, which is apparently the tree of that evil warlock guy that they mentioned last season. I was wondering what they would do with that guy. Blah, 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 Xantiri corrupted the tree, that one guy fixed it, etc., etc. Inside the tree are clues that reflect the scroll. There's apparently a moonstone that does the opposite of healing, which is probably that opal we saw before, but also Rapunzel has freaky magic powers, so bad stuff happens when she starts singing. Oh my goodness, stuff got dark, literally and metaphorically. Don't worry, a little bump to the head to get her to shut up makes everything mostly okay again.
I think you led us here on purpose. You wanted Rapunzel to find that incantation and read it.
The Moonstone has the power to destroy the world.
Oh gosh, thank you for that convenient exposition. So I guess this means that Rapunzel can also destroy the world? Is Rapunzel technically like a god? Cass saves the day, so it's cool, but you know what they say, if it's a dramatic fall, then they'll survive and stand tall, because we're not allowed to just cut off their heads. That would traumatize the kids. And after Courage the Cowardly Dog, we can't do that anymore. Wow, the heart of Xantiri's tree, and he wants to unleash the evil within. Great, wonderful, of course, just what we need, and now he's gonna be possessed. Funsies, that's what you get for being a big ol' dummy-dum. All good bosses have second phases. Rapunzel uses her cool dark evil powers to fight back against the tree powers, and she kinda has a problem of stopping, and she starts using dark evil life-stealing magic, which, you know, when you learn to drive a car, the first thing you learn is where the brakes are. Cass gets skywalkered, and Hector is all like, oh man, Adira is lying to you. If you go to the Dark Kingdom, you're doomed. Adira is like, nuh-uh, and yeets off the side. But you know what they say about dramatic falls? It's like, fall damage doesn't exist in fantasy stories, I swear. Also, Cass is upset at Rapunzel for not listening to her. Like, they had the spear right there, what the heck? Also, she got some cool armor, so that's neato, good for her. This really is a D&D story.
Allow me.
Oh my goodness, you know that silly little goblin that adventurers adopt as the quirky comedy relief? That's Shorty. The parallels just keep going. And now for the most cathartic scene in the whole series.
Do you hear before you understand that mother knows?
You know what? Let's see it again for good measure. Now that's the good stuff. Also, this is all a dream, don't worry, she's still dead. They stop another one of Xantiri's minion ghost people. It's whatever.
Water under the bridge.
Don't touch his banana.
Yeah, Rapunzel, haven't you ever heard of consent? You can't just go around grabbing some people's bananas in public, and you especially can't eat their banana without their consent, or putting whipped cream on their banana, or staring at their banana, even if it's a really big banana. And the monkey leads them to the path of Demanitus, the super smart guy that stopped Xantiri long ago. And the path is a maze, and maybe the final piece of the scroll is in there, and gosh, that's a lot of real estate.
For I am Lord Demanitus.
I've seen ghosts and warlocks in this show, and this is the most unrealistic thing I've seen so far. Obviously, he wasn't born a monkey. He used magic to become a monkey and can become himself once again, but only for a short time, they say, which I think is right now, in terms of their brain. When I saw this, I thought they meant like, oh, he'll turn back into his human form. No, they're talking about right now. This is the last you're gonna see of him. This is the only time they can talk to Demanitus. They get the last piece of the scroll. Then Demanitus turns back into monkey brain, so he's gone for now or forever. And then they give them the weird crystal from the monkey's turban.
And there were riddles. Oh, Cass, you know how much I love riddles. Totally figured it out.
At the end of Rapunzel's journey, one of her party shall turn against her.
Okay, place your bets. Who's it gonna be? We know Eugene and Rapunzel get married, so it's probably not him. Lance is possible. Shorty and Hookfoot are too dumb. I'm not putting money on them. I'm betting it's Cass, since they kinda already set up the whole bickering and butting heads sort of thing. You know, back at what happened with the tree. Or maybe that's too obvious and they set it up to make me think it'll be Cass. That's it. Pascal will betray her. But also, why would they introduce this now? Wouldn't it be more fun to like try and guess who will betray her if they introduced it, I don't know, like 3/4 through the season? I feel dropping it right before it's going to happen takes away a lot of the fun from the suspense. The Dark Kingdom, this is where punk mohawks were invented. You know, 'cause it's spiky. Of course, Adira comes to help them because of course she does. Wait, maybe she betrays her. Is she technically part of the party? I don't feel like she counts. Eugene drops off the planet, but you know what they say about big falls. Oh yeah, he's fine, for the most part, except for the big bear guy.
You are my son.
I'll admit, I wasn't expecting that. Apparently the king had his raven tracking him ever since he had the kingdom evacuated. Now he's rambling about how his mom is dead and maybe destroying the Moonstone is actually his destiny and not Rapunzel's, ooh. And because Eugene is scared of what might happen to Rapunzel, he's not letting her enter, which like, okay, I get it, Shazam, you got a hero complex now, but also, you're just gonna ignore what she wants? What does this mean? Does this mean Eugene is betraying her? Wait, does this count? Eugene eventually realizes he's a big dummy dum-dum.
What if my destiny is not to join you in this place? It is to rescue you from it.
They finally make it to the Chamber of the Moonstone.
Cassandra? What are you?
I knew it! It was obvious, but I knew it! Cass takes the Moonstone into herself and I guess gets super cool evil Moonstone powers? And blue hair?
You have to be careful who you trust.
That was kind of lame. What you need to remember is that when you're writing a twist, the twist needs to answer a question. Why did Cass do that? There was nothing that set up her betrayal. Was she secretly working with the Brotherhood, like with Adira and everything? I'm certain we'll get the answers in the third and final season, but for right now, this feels bad. Sometimes there are twists that happen solely just to shock the audience. I'm looking at you, M. Night Shyamalan, and until I get answers as to why this happened, it feels like it's just for shock factor. Season 2 was definitely a step up in every way from season 1. More action, more adventure, more locations, and more interesting interactions between the characters. And it answered several questions that the movie never expanded upon, that being the origin of the sun drop and Eugene's parents. Don't get me wrong, I still believe what I said about the ending, but this season was an absolute upgrade all around. And if this actually develops into something that's well thought out, then I'm more than willing to eat my words. I just don't care how quickly they set it all up in only like the last 2 episodes. It feels rushed. Like maybe the writing team wasn't quite as in unison as I had thought they were. And I have no doubt that there's some sort of Tumblr breakdown that just tells you like the genius of everything that's happened throughout a season and how they foreshadowed literally everything. Honestly, that's like the best part of Tumblr. If I can find one of those Tumblr's the only place where seeing an omega long post is exciting. I can't do that for Reddit or Twitter or wherever. If it's Tumblr, I'm like, ooh, oh, I got a video essay right here on my phone. I am ready to consume. Apparently also, apparently Cassandra's mother was Gothel? Okay, I guess she isn't just some rando character they introduced. Everything is connected in this show. As you could guess, she was as much awful to her own flesh and blood child as she was to Rapunzel. Can you believe that this bitch just abandoned her fucking child all to pursue the vanity of her youth? I mean, yes, you can, but my God, she's so much worse than I thought. And that's why she betrayed Rapunzel.
My whole life, I've been cast aside for you.
Okay, so did they allude to this somewhat? Yes. It was not obvious or even the slightest bit possible to get an inkling of this. So far, I'm sticking by what I said. However, this is awesome. But how is Cassandra even sure of all this? This was all a vision from Xantiri's ghost minion. My only problem is that this seems like a sudden change with Cassandra's character. I mean, up until a few episodes ago, she was Rapunzel's best friend, and her willingness to just throw all that away doesn't really sit right with me. This sort of sudden turn is something that takes time. I can understand her learning and having it fester, only to eventually boil over as she convinces herself that she's been wronged, but we didn't see that happen. It's just 4 episodes of development that we weren't even privy to, and now we're just supposed to accept this? I still appreciate how they connected all this, and I get the feeling that, oh my goodness, they could have just taken a balloon to the Dark Kingdom. It's just like Gandalf says, fly, you fools. Okay, wait, they need the pieces of the scroll. Fine, I guess. Why, I guess they couldn't just fly there because they needed the scroll. I understand, okay. They beeline to Corona and everything is now in muted, unsaturated colors, and there's no people there. Apparently, there's been an invasion, but like, gosh, even the invaders aren't there. Rapunzel goes to see her parents and, oh no, a character that was easily forgotten and ended up not being important later in the story, and I didn't include it in the script. Basically, there's a whole rebellion group that hates the royalty because of Varian is back, and he has a bad goatee, dang! All you need is a rat stash and he'll be a real villain. And he erased their memories.
I'm synthesizing the wand's power into a gas that will erase the memories of everyone in Corona.
They have to run and meet up with Xavier the blacksmith with a strange amount of knowledge of lore. Rapunzel decides to sneak off and try to take back her kingdom alone, which, okay, that's dumb. I get that she's beat up about Cassandra, but still, I don't back this up. Oh, and then while processing her emotions around Cassandra, she gets caught. Why am I not surprised?
It's not what they did to me, it's what I did to them. There is no way that they will ever forgive me.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that Varian is still a kid. Him wanting things to be normal again makes sense for his character, actually. And then they get double-crossed, and they tell Varian that they're gonna just not make everyone lose their memories and just plan to blow everything up. Now they're cellmates. They get broken out. The bad goatee wasn't real. He looks better without it. And Rapunzel argues in his defense, mostly because he's really the only one who knows how to counter the explosion formula, so yeah, they really do need him. Do I agree with shifting gears to rush back to Corona and sorta ignoring Cassandra? Not really. And sort of yes. I get they rushed back because they need to reintroduce Varian now that he's going to be plot relevant, and I get they need a lot of action to get people's attention for a new season, and yes, there is the loose end of Varian's dad who is part of the Dark Kingdom, and now Rapunzel can actually help him. It just feels strange having them shift so suddenly. Feels weird. More importantly, if Varian is going to be switching sides, the reason for his betrayal needs to be resolved, and now it is, so I guess he's a good guy again. And more costume changes. Edmund is in Corona, and Eugene isn't all that crazy about it, which I don't really get why. I didn't think they were on bad terms. And in good fashion, just as we've done with the last 2 seasons, we're just going to ignore everything for several standalone episodes that ultimately do not contribute to the overarching plot of the story. I'll input jokes if I can find them, But otherwise, I'm just gonna skip to the good stuff. And then again, when do I not do that? There's this weird ghost girl who is teaching Cass to harness her rage.
Put yourself first and let her go.
Eugene, friends don't leave friends behind.
Yes, they do. Especially if they're super toxic and stop you from achieving your destiny and ultimately bring harm to everyone around them. Those are all perfectly good reasons to leave them behind. Listen, I'm white, but I'm not family is family no matter what white. This show spends a lot of time expanding Eugene and Rapunzel's relationship, and though it's not relevant, it's worth mentioning it since it really fleshes out their character. The captain went searching for Cass and found her, then Cass confronts him about him not telling her about how she's adopted, which he doesn't deny, so maybe the creepy ghost girl didn't lie. Maybe all that was real, but emotions were tense, so who knows? Speaking of which, Cass and Ghosty Girl are searching for the Demanitus scroll. You know, the scroll Rapunzel has. You can tell this is the last season because Rapunzel plans on proposing to Eugene. Can't wait to see how bad this falls apart. In good Disney villain fashion, Cass crashes Eugene's birthday and monologues about being upset and evil and stuff.
Give me the scroll, and I'll leave Corona in peace.
Varian figured out there's 4 incantations. The 3rd controls the black rocks. The 4th is just not there for some reason. Oh wait, that's right, Varian had a thing for Cass, and since Varian is the only one who can read the scroll, Cass needs Varian. Oh. Obviously Cass wins, and the ghost girl is clearly manipulating her. You can tell by the way she smiles. She truth serums Varian in order to get him to tell her the 3rd incantation, and she uses it to rebuild the old tower and builds a new base, which I guess is cool thematically. I imagine it's not very secret anymore. Oh, she made it tall. It's very not secret, goodness. Varian is visited by the ghost in a vision, and she reveals the secret of the final incantation. Oh, come on, green fire is clear Disney villain sign. You guys, seriously, she was... The old sunlight trick, of course.
Sandra, don't!
Rapunzel uses the last incantation and she kinda goes Super Saiyan. And now we have the big battle between Rock Girl and basically a god. And also, somewhere a black hole appears and Moonstone gets chipped. That's important later.
Finally, it's good to be back.
Okay, so this part gets weird. You'd think they'd search for Cass, but she fell off the tower. And for some reason, everyone assumes that when you fall off a tall building, you die. It's a reasonable assumption. Given the track record of this happening, clearly that hasn't been the case. So they just go back to doing what they do. Like, Rapunzel doesn't even get really upset. She just kind of knows oh, okay, Cass is gone, Cass is alive, but you don't go searching for her? Whatever, let's move on.
I've taken the form of whatever suits my needs, even a blizzard.
You're Zantiri.
Yeah, no shit.
Honey, she was never around for me. I wonder
All
why.
Gothel ever wanted from me was my hair. She didn't love either of us.
It's about time someone talked sense into Cass, I swear. Of course, Ghosty Girl left a mirror where Gothel is actually affectionate to Cass, undoing all that progress. But there is a sliver missing, which I'm guessing will appear later. Of course, Cass finds the shard, and it reveals Gothel was literally awful, and then Cass confronts the Ghost Girl and realizes that she's Zantiri. Cass realizes she's been fooling with the wrong crowd and dips out of there.
Am I the bad guy?
Duh! Are you kidding me? Do you think attacking your kingdom would be justified because one person supposedly betrayed you even though it wasn't even within her control? That's between you and her. You made it about you and everyone.
Not everyone can look someone else in the eye and say, I'm hurting, or even I'm sorry.
Just because it's not easy doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Everything goes wrong by the hands of Zantiri, obviously.
Zantiri was right.
Now, I'm the bad guy.
Okay, you know what? You don't deserve a redemption arc now. This is getting stupid. So, the kingdom is taken over by Cass. During the eclipse, Rapunzel's powers are gone, kinda like firebenders. Zantiri gets the sun drop and moonstone, and now she turns into big evil warlock mode.
You're my best friend. will never give up on you.
Remember when the Moonstone broke? Turns out she still has that small little sliver. And so she gives it to Rapunzel, and boom, her power is somewhat sorta back a little bit. Using her hair, they get Xantiri to slam the moon and sun together, finally joining them back together, undoing all the evil she did in the world. We're going to fake out Cassandra dying, and she grabs the stone and uses her good old rhyme to turn back the sands of time in order to save her, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, and also just everyone, I guess. They're important too. And launches the stone into space, forever getting rid of its power. They really like doing parallels to the movie, don't they? Ain't that cute? Anyway, everything's back to normal. And it flows perfectly into Tangled Ever After. Also, Cass is a rogue now, so that's cool.
But Cass, you were worth fighting for.
I missed you too, Eugene.
But Cass isn't in the sequel movie special, so she has to go on an adventure into the world and find her own destiny, also known as get rid of her.
I love you, Raps.
I love you too, Cass.
This is a story that was thoroughly thought through. Everything was properly foreshadowed, everyone grew and changed and were more than properly fleshed out. This was all a prequel, and delivering a midquel, and delivering on a midquel is hard. Knowing that there's a specific type of ending that needs to be made, but there was so much added that I was afraid they'd have to take things away, but they didn't. Everyone got their own ending. And we finally get to see how Eugene finally proposed to Rapunzel, the long-awaited question that we knew had to come, but it was still so sweet.
Will you marry me, Rapunzel?
Yes! Yes, yes, yes!
This series delivered on everything. Not only did it give us what we wanted, it gave us more. Tangled is a series that embraces the fairy tale, but also abandons it as it drifts into fantasy, and it blends the two seamlessly, transitioning from one to the other, and the show benefited from it greatly. It pulled no punches when they wanted to deliver on an expansive and immersive world, and really captured the hearts of everyone who's ever wanted to live out their lives as a fairy tale hero. It has comedy, whimsy, heartbreak, and even moments of heartfelt inspiration. This show cuts no corners, and it's clear that the people behind it held it with the highest regards. The writers of this show honestly had a massive hurdle they had to get over, making a show that was unique with its own story, that also didn't mess with the canon of the movie and the 10-minute sequel special thing that they had. I can't imagine the amount of planning that went into this show, how much peer review needed to happen to be done with this story. The fact that this show exists in the state that it does is a testament to the expert writing and direction behind the scenes. My only problem is that now I'm not sure I can go back and watch the movie. I'll feel like there's so much missing now. There's now a whole world that's been made. Rapunzel does not feel like just some Disney princess anymore. She's so much more than that. And she did this all without shoes. Now, to answer the question of what happened to it, most everyone's going to say, it ended. When really what happened is that Disney sort of abandoned the project, but realized that Tangled is a big series, it sells a good amount of toys. So they just had to make sure that the canon of the princess was safe. It's not like the Owl House, where it's just a show. This was a Disney princess, and that leads to massive merch sales. What happened was, in my interpretation, we not only got lucky that the team behind this show were so excellent at what they do, but we were also lucky that it was tied to a major title so that they could finish the show. And they even used the canon of this show specifically to write one of those what if novels that you see at Barnes & Noble, where it's like, what if the princess actually didn't have the slipper and she turned evil, or what if blah, blah, blah. They use like, what if Rapunzel found the moonstone instead of the sun drop, I think. I haven't read it yet, I plan to, maybe, hopefully. Which thankfully they did write a book, because it feels wrong having them end it right here. Because we know that the true ending is still technically them just getting married. That is the furthest progression in the timeline that we've seen thus far. All I can really say is that I'm happy it turned out the way it did. This is a show you're not going to get often, especially in today's world with how oddly cutthroat the animation industry is. So I say, enjoy it. This is a show that I hope everyone who even remotely cares about Tangled or Rapunzel or any of that stuff, this is a show that they should watch. This is a show that delivers.